Things are really spicing up as far as the Group B of the Champions Trophy is concerned. Well, Australia and South Africa are currently unbeaten. They won their respective opening games, but then their opening tie as far as the history of Champions Trophy is concerned, they played for the first time. Well, it was a washout, and as a result of that, both Australia and South Africa were awarded a point each. Now, what it has basically done is that both Australia and South Africa are still unbeaten in the tournament. But what it has done also is that the complex scenarios have been created as far as qualification for the semi-finals is concerned. So before we get to all those complex scenarios, let's just get to the points table that is currently there for Group B. Well, South Africa, they are currently leading the charts with a total of 3 points. They defeated Afghanistan comprehensively in their opening game, and their next game against Australia was a washout. In case of Australia, they chased a massive target against England to win their first Champions Trophy game since 2009. And obviously, their second game was a washout. So they are at the second spot with a total of 3 points, but then their net run rate isn't really that superior in comparison to South Africa. So that's why they occupy the second spot. At number 3 is England, who are currently yet to win again in this game in this tournament, and same is the case with Afghanistan. Now, there are a total of 3 matches left in Group B. One is Afghanistan versus England on February 26th. Second is Afghanistan versus Australia, February 28th. And South Africa versus England on March 1st, which is going to be the final game of this Group B. And all 3 games, may I say, that they will be knockout for all the teams here. Now, let's get to the qualification scenarios of all the teams individually, and let's start with Afghanistan here. They must win their remaining ties. Well, remember, they lost to South Africa in their opening game, but then they still have a couple of games left. One is against England and the other is against Australia. And if they win both their games handsomely, they will qualify for the semi-finals of the Champions Trophy. But if they lose either of the games against England or Australia, they will be eliminated from the competition. Moving on to England, well, they are on the same road as that of Afghanistan. They still have 2 more matches left. One is obviously against Afghanistan, that's going to take place tomorrow, and their final group game is going to be against South Africa. So if England win both their games very well, they will qualify for the semis. But then if they lose either of their games, then it's game over. They will be eliminated from the competition. Moving on to Australia now, and that's where, we have tried to make those complex scenarios rather easy for you. If Australia win versus Afghanistan in their final group game, semis are a done deal for them. They will get to a total of 5 points, and that will be enough for them to qualify for the final 4. However, if they lose to Afghanistan in their final game, they could be eliminated. And may I add here one thing again, that they could be eliminated assuming Afghanistan would have defeated England earlier in one of the group stage matches. So if that happens, Afghanistan would get to a total of 4 points, and South Africa are currently at number 3. So if South Africa defeat England, Afghanistan and South Africa will go through. But then even if South Africa lose to England, their net run rate is far superior in comparison to Australia, and that would be enough for them to make it to the final 4. So in that respect, Australia would be eliminated. However, even if Australia lose their final game, there's also this second scenario that comes into the picture. They would need a favor from South Africa, and what that favor is really going to be, that they would need South Africa to beat England in their final group game. If that happens, England cannot really go past 2 points, and in that case, Australia, who are currently at 3 points, and even if they lose to Afghanistan, they would go through to the semis. And last but not the least, South Africa, who have been making those massive waves as far as the ICC tournaments are concerned. They've done well since the 2023 ODI World Cup in India, reached the semi-finals, reached the finals of the 2024 T20 World Cup in Caribbean and USA, and now they have also entered their maiden World Test Championship final. And they've also carried forward their form in the Champions Trophy. So if they win their final league game against England, then semis is going to be sure shot for them and they will qualify for the final four. However, if they lose their final game against England, what they need to make sure is that it's not really a massive loss. And if they lose by just about round about a very small margin, then it would be okay for them to make it to the final four. So that's the scenario with South Africa. Win and they are into the semis. Lose, just make sure that it's not a massive loss against England. So two semi-finalists have already been decided. England, India and New Zealand in that case. However, from the Group B, things have really gotten more spiced up, primarily because of the washout that the game Australia versus South Africa has experienced. And that's why the remaining three games from this group has become more and more exciting. So who do you think would be the remaining two teams who will qualify for the semi-finals of the Champions Trophy? And do you still think that England and Afghanistan can forge a comeback into the 8-team tournament? You can let us know your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today for all the exciting updates and analysis from the sporting world. Until then, on behalf of my producer Shivam, it's Siddharth Gulati saying goodbye.